What's up, squad? I'm back with another one. You already saw the title, so you know what we're getting into today. Before we dive in, do me a favor, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Let's get straight to it because what I'm about to show you is absolutely unbelievable. Every single day I wake up to some insane news, but what's happening with Ilhan Omar right now, this is on another level. She's been getting hit with bad news constantly and it just keeps piling up. According to reports, Ilhan Omar is now under federal investigation for making millions of dollars while she's been sitting in Congress. Yeah, you heard that right. Millions. People are calling for her deportation, and honestly, I support it. Some folks want to see her behind bars, locked up in a prison cell. But me, I've always said this, deportation would hit her 10 times harder. That's just my take. Eric is reporting that Omar is under federal investigation for raking in millions while serving in Congress. It's completely insane. And here's the thing. She's not the only one doing this, but she's definitely at the top of the list. Check this out from Fox News.
Good to see you, my friend. What's the old saying? Follow the money? Well, that's precisely what the House Oversight Committee is doing. They are probing squad member Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing family wealth, Jesse, especially in the wake of that $9 billion, some would argue $19 billion, Somali social services fraud scandal that exploded in her district in Minnesota. The Oversight Chair, James Comer, says his team's lawyers are exploring the extraordinary step of subpoenaing Omar's spouse over his curious business practices. Republicans want to know how the Somali-born Omar and her politically connected husband Tim Minette went from being nearly broke to being worth around $30 million in just a year, according to her 2024 disclosure forms. Quoting Comer now, there are a lot of questions as to how her husband accumulated so much wealth over the past 2 years. It's not possible. It's not. And he's a money guy. Minette and his partner, Will Haler, back in 2022, formed an investment firm, Jesse, named Rose Lake Capital. They had $42 in their bank account at the time, but in a year, up to $25 million, according to Omar's filing. By the way, he also has a wine business that went from next to nothing to millions on its books. Not surprisingly, associates were so perplexed about the irregularities, they brought information and attention to the feds to, look into it. Now, for her part, the Congresswoman has repeatedly, and I say defiantly, denied any wrongdoing while being also careful to criticize the ongoing probe. But, sometimes they say, Jesse, the ones who yell the loudest have the most.
Absolutely. And you can always tell when someone's guilty because they can't stop posting on X, trying to defend themselves. Look, I'm not going to bring up certain things because I've learned to watch what I say. If you're new here, you'll notice I say that a lot. I have to catch myself because you really can't say too much on these platforms without getting flagged. But here's what I will say. Whenever someone calls her out, she immediately has to respond. And honestly, I'm going to keep it real with all of you. Most people don't even need to investigate this stuff. It's all right there in the open. She's being loud about it. The things she's involved in are out in the open for anyone to see. I have to give major credit to the independent journalists out there doing the real work, and I mean real work. They're going to these locations, these so-called businesses, and exposing everything. You can verify most of this yourself with a simple phone call. Call these places and ask questions. Half the time, they don't answer. The other half, the business doesn't even exist. I'm telling you, anyone can do this research safely and see for themselves. They're being obvious about it because they think they'll get away with it, but they won't. Oversight Chair James Comer just filed to investigate Ilhan Omar's exploding net worth. And yeah, he really did. According to the filing, James Comer is demanding to see all financial information related to Ilhan Omar's net worth, which went from $51,000 to $30 million in just 1 year. Let that sink in. 1 year. Here's what the document says. Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll highlight the key parts for you. Her net worth went from about $51,000 in 2003 to as much as $30 million in 2024. Since these companies don't publicly list their investors or where the money comes from, this massive jump raises serious concerns that unknown individuals are investing to buy influence. Media reports also suggest she may have raised money from investors using misleading information, which means some of that money could have been obtained illegally. It's all right here. The finances of EST, CRU, LLC, and Rose Lake Capital, LLC. This is a 3-page document signed by the chairman of the Oversight Committee. Go check it out for yourselves. Seriously, go look into this. Now let's talk about these fake wineries. A journalist I showed in a previous video went to Ilhan Omar's winery to verify it. And guess what? It's fake. Over 40 wineries are operating out of the same address, but when the journalist showed up, The location owner said Ilhan Omar's winery isn't even there, even though that's the registered address. That's straight up fraud. Watch this.
Suite B, again, that is the address where Ilhan Omar's winery is. You can see that a different winery is here, Punch Down Cellars.
What does this note say?
E Street Crew does not make wine here. They were a client many years ago and have ceased operation. Their operating address is linked to this address like all other client wineries because of state and federal filings. So I wonder what else they have to show for it. What do you think about that?
I think they're just trying to keep as much distance between them and their business and Ilhan Omar's as much as possible.
Yeah.
You guys just do a little more research before.
Well, yeah, that's what we're kind of doing right now.
Would you be so
But
kind
this
to
is,
tell
do
us
you know
about
what this
the-
place is?
No, that's why we came
It's a
back here.
custom crush place. A bunch of people use it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like renting instead of owning.
Yeah,
So,
I see.
so there's like about 40 of us in here
yeah. Okay.
making wine.
Yeah. It's
So-
we're just trying to like just figure out what is really going on. We see that
Next time, just call.
Next time, just call ahead. They don't want people showing up in person because they get caught off guard and can't answer questions. They can't answer because they've been told to stay quiet. And even if they wanted to talk, why would they? The crazy part is, I don't even think most of these people, whether it's a daycare or whatever business, have all the information. A lot of them are just like him. I guarantee it's the same situation we talked about with those daycare owners in Minnesota, driving around in expensive cars. They don't ask questions. They don't care about the details. All they care about is the money going into their pockets.
The pastor told us that Punch Down Cellars makes wine for 14 different,
They don't make wine.
or crushes.
you crush it and you hold it.
We,
for 'em?
no, we, winemakers make wine in the same facility.
Oh, cool.
So-
Which because my family, we've been part of like members of like certain wineries and stuff. So is there like a high end brand that you guys like hold for or anything like that?
No, I don't own the place.
Okay.
I'm just one of the winemakers
Okay,
here.
cool.
And there's a bunch of us
Yeah.
under one roof.
Awesome.
That's all.
Well,
it
what's
is.
your winery's name?
Well, I'm not going to get into it.
Okay.
But it's not that one.
Well, yeah, obviously.
He didn't really seem very happy.
No,
No,
Did they have
he's
people
defensive.
coming to check this place out or something that they needed to put a sign on it? I mean,
probably.
I haven't noticed anybody
I would
else
imagine
online
so because I mean that company's being sued.
Wow. It's definitely wild. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely wild. Definitely wild.
Wow, that's wild. Absolutely wild. Here's what gets me. These people have others protecting them, and I can't even act surprised because those protectors are getting paid too. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think about this whole situation. Are you as shocked as I am, or did you see this coming?
And my next
I'm
guest,
telling
he's
you,
a
this
fierce
is
critic of
insane.
Omar and has repeatedly called for her to be denaturalized and deported. This as she and her husband come under fire, under investigation for allegedly fake winery business. Her net worth has now increased to $30 million. Joining me now is Florida Congressman and member of the House Education and Workforce Committee, Randy Fine. $30 million. She possibly married her brother. She may have been overseeing the largest fraud that this country's ever seen, billions of dollars. How is she still a member of Congress? How is this woman still here in the United States?
It's a great question, and thanks for having me. Look, Ilhan Omar represents everything that is wrong with our immigration problem. She came here under false pretenses. She engaged in immigration fraud. She has the audacity to crap all over the country that brought her in, and then she's engaged in fraud to enrich herself, going from being broke to claiming to be worth more than $30 million. So she not only needs to be in jail, she needs to be denaturalized and deported. Now, why isn't she? Because to expel a member of Congress requires 2/3 votes. And Democrats won't even expel someone who's been arrested for stealing $5 million from Florida. They simply care about nothing except power, which is why the other path we can take is prosecution. And I know that she's being investigated for the financial fraud, which seems pretty obvious.
Because, Congressman, that's a frustration by many Americans. They're like, okay, we keep hearing about this person and that person, Governor Newsom and Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar. When are we going to see these people finally face accountability? I mean, you have Governor Gavin Newsom. He has the goal to run for president.
Well, the best way we can hold these people accountable is through our elections. It's why we cannot elect Democrats, because Democrats excuse it. Again, we have a woman in Florida who, it's clear as day, took $5 million from Florida taxpayers, put it into her campaign and won. And Democrats have said they will not vote to expel her from Congress. The only party out there that is fighting for Americans is the Republican Party. President Trump had a famous ad last year. It said, "We're for you, they're for they, them." Well, it's worse than that now. It's we're for Americans and they're for foreigners and criminals. That is the way that we can hold these people accountable. We have got to win elections.
You know, Ilhan Omar, Elon Musk also calling her a fraud because her winery, it has no web address. There is no product. We actually had a owner of a winery in the first hour. He said business is actually down. Never mind it increasing exponentially to $30 million. How is her husband, who, by the way, is a white guy, because she's always talking about white supremacy, this and that. How is he not under arrest?
Well, I think they're being investigated. I think what she's specifically being investigated for is she claims she's worth more than $30 million. Lying on your ethics form is also against the rules, and I believe that she is being investigated for that. But what we have to look at with Ilhan Omar is also the hypocrisy. She threw her arms in the air and went crazy because this guy sprayed salad dressing on her. Well, under her own definition, that was a peaceful protest, because when people spit on and throw things on ICE agents, she describes that as peaceful. The problem with the left is they've got no consistency. They have no logic.
I'm so glad he said that. What he just pointed out makes total sense. Actually, let me take it even further. Things have gotten so bad that certain content gets blurred out or flagged before you can even watch it. And what was it? Someone spitting on another person. That's how horrible things have gotten. But they still try to make it seem like these actions are peaceful and acceptable. I hate that. You can clearly see they don't hold their own people accountable. The same people they're essentially funding. There's zero accountability with any of these individuals.
And so we end up with these escalating behaviors on the part of people, and all of it is their fault.
Congressman Randy Fine, before I let you go, I know you have a special cause that you are working on right now.
Well, I'm working on a lot, but one of them that I'm working on is making sure that we go after the folks that are creating these militias in Minnesota. We want to investigate the lieutenant governor who appears to be intimately involved in the Signal chat to effectively create a government militia to fight American law enforcement. That's not okay. These people need to be held accountable, and they need to go to jail.
They certainly do. Let's get some people in handcuffs that deserve them. Of course. Congressman, thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.
Absolutely. Someone asked, who's protecting her in Congress? I'm telling you, there are tons of people asking that exact question. And I'm glad Randy Fine brought this up, because you can tell when someone's under serious investigation. This is moving fast, but it's also thorough. That's exactly what I want. I don't want anything swept under the rug. I don't want them to find one thing and call it a day. No, I want them to uncover everything, because none of this makes sense. It's disgusting. Here's some of the footage I'm going to show you. It says the corruption runs deep. There's a network of Somali government agents moving cash from Minnesota to Somalia. One guy smuggled $500,000 through a nonprofit to a leader in Somalia. And guess who that leader is photographed with? Ilhan Omar.
I identified a network of Somalian government agents smuggling cash out of Minnesota and into the hands of the Somalian government. I have the evidence, and you're going to see it. These agents procured at least $500,000 for the Puntland Defense Forces through fundraising events held in Minneapolis last year under the guise of a Somalian cultural organization. This jolly Somali is Abdul Wali Warsami. He's an unregistered foreign.
Look at this. People are pointing out that a lot of the individuals in Minnesota are Somali. Look at the officers in this footage. You see one white officer. That's it. It's wild. I'm not saying Somalis can't be officers. I'm just saying this whole operation is crazy to me. Everything about this is crazy.
Agent and the leader of one of those illegal Somalian government organizations. He's giving a speech about Minnesota politics and current events to his tribal audience in Minnesota with an inverted American flag behind him. The super soldier on the right there, he's the leader of the Puntland Armed Forces. If you called it the Somalian Army, I sure wouldn't correct you. He looks thrilled to see Warsami. I bet he's excited to get some of that free Minnesota money everybody's talking about. Mohammed Keenan is an agent for the Somalian president of Puntland. He's basically a mob boss running a whole other government in Minneapolis with its own laws and officials. Last year, Keenan and Warsami, they partnered together and helped to raise at least $500,000 for the Puntland army in Somalia. Warsami and Keenan, along with the members of their Somalian government organizations in Minnesota, seem to have transferred the $500,000 by cash initially, and then through a nonprofit organization called Humanitarian African Relief Organization, HARO. Doesn't sound right, does it? More on that later. Warsami posted this photo on February 9th, 2025. Now remember that date. Warsami and the other guys are likely co-conspirators closely involved in obtaining the money and transferring it from Minnesota and to the Somalian government. Look at this cryptic message Warsami posted. It's for the guy in the red hat. The question is, what's the guy in the red hat's role? What's he doing? Is he transferring cash from Minnesota to Somalia, or from Minnesota to a different Middle Eastern country and then ultimately to Somalia? Because Warsami posted 3 more photos right after the group photo. Most notably, he posted 2 photos of a large amount of cash. It seems reasonable to believe that...
I'm just saying a lot of this doesn't add up. That's Mayor Frey right there. A lot of this is just weird.
Warsami, or the guy in the red hat, handled the cash since this picture was posted immediately after this cryptic message. Keenan confirmed on his Facebook that Warsami was traveling a day before he posted the photos of the cash. How much do you think this is? Those green cash labels are from a South Korean bank called Hana. And why is he putting $10,000 into an envelope? Have you ever heard of somebody getting $10,000 in a white envelope for doing something legal? Warsami has a lot of influence in the Somalian government since he's the Jubaland state official government representative in the U.S., which is why he is supposed to register as a foreign agent with the Department of Justice. It's illegal not to. This is Warsami arriving in Somalia. His influence and power are evident by the elaborate ceremonial greeting he's receiving. So where did these Somalian heroes get $500,000 from? Both Warsami and Keenan regularly hold fundraisers for the Somalian government in Minnesota. You can see this flyer explicitly states they are raising money for a Somalian military operation called Mountain Thunder. Keenan made several other announcements about fundraising for the Somalian army in this time frame. Here's Keenan's Facebook post the day after the fundraiser. Keenan was nice enough to thank the HARO organization for their assistance in delivering the funds to the Puntland army. Keenan's one post exposed an international charity as a front for funding Somalian government activity. It's time for the HARO organization to cease its operations and its members to face prosecutions for a few different federal crimes. Perhaps wire fraud, tax evasion. Something tells me it might be illegal to use a non-profit to fund a foreign army. It only took Keenan and Warsami a couple months to raise $500,000 for a foreign army. It's almost like the Somali community had a bunch of money laying around from other sources of income. Perhaps Warsami and Keenan had a lot of financially successful daycares or transportation services, and they decided to donate $500,000.
Minnesota, ganacsiga Cedar Adult Care Center.
I have a lot of interesting videos that are going to require human translation. If you want to hear those, here's how you help out.
So here's what I think, and this is where I'm wrapping up. What this video is showing me, and it's pretty straightforward, is that a lot of people in Minnesota, and even in Ohio, which is right next door, are part of this. I've heard from multiple sources that Somalis are coming from Virginia, from different states, and even directly from Somalia, but their final destination is always Minnesota. Why? Because of the operations they're running there, essentially working for their government. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this, especially with Ilhan Omar. They're working for Somalia more than they're working for America. That's exactly why this has to stop. There has to be an end to this. Ilhan Omar and Rashida, I'm not even sure how to say her last name, are now facing new calls to be removed from Congress. The pressure is building by the hour. Things are moving fast. Here's the question. Do you agree that only U.S.-born citizens should be eligible for public office? Personally, you know me. I'm straightforward. I keep it real. And yeah, I agree. I truly do. Because we're seeing too much fraud, too much corruption from individuals who aren't even from here. It's hurting the economy, hurting taxpayers, increasing crime. It's not just one issue, it's everything. So, yeah, I stand by that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's keep this conversation going. I appreciate all of you. Much love, squad. Catch you on the next one.